speaker mentioned, today's talk is on the kingdoms of nature. The term kingdoms is used to describe the grand divisions into which all natural objects are classified. This term is common to theosophy. It is somewhat mystic and romantic term that matter-of-fact science seems to have always found in use and accepted without further thought. But we find in the archaic secret doctrine vestiges that may be found in the misunderstood symbolism of religion and also in much of the nomenclature of today's modern science. That is because in the archaic ages, science and religion were one. It was only when they separated that science lost its touch with the soul of things, and religion became a big mystery. It is the mission of theosophy to again reunite science and religion into a grand synthesis. Implicit in the purpose of this reunion is the moral regeneration of the human race. This union of science and religion parallels the union of manas, or mind, in conjunction with buddhi, or wisdom, in man. Only through such union is the redemption of the race possible. Kingdom is probably the earliest term, or earliest form of government. And theosophy teaches the course of evolution is divided into 4 yugas for every race. These yugas or ages range from golden to iron or black age, the one we are in now. And between the golden and black ages are the silver and the bronze ages. And it might be helpful to put the mic on one thing. And also to draw on the board a little circle here, starting with spirit. Out of the all, I'm drawing a circle here, but this is a limitless all. Comes a spark from the divine, okay? And it's the spirit side of the circle. Down into matter it comes. And this is supposed to be a circle. And we come down here to the bottom point when we're ingrained in matter totally, and then we come back up around into spirit. And that's the cycle. It's an immense period of time we're talking about, that we're talking about in terms of yugas. Out of this comes the golden age, then comes the silver age, then comes the bronze age, and then comes the age of Kali-yuga where we are, and up and around. And we, in general, are about here, working our way back up to the spirit side and learning the lessons we need to learn as gods in training. So, that is just a general sketch, but it's up to us as to how long these periods of time last and our actions, etc. We can have a long period of golden age or a long period of Kali-yuga, depending on how long it takes us as mankind to learn our lessons. So what makes an age golden? Short answer, wisdom and compassion. There's plenty of opportunity for that, and it is necessary for our growth. What makes an age black, or in Kali-yuga? Folly and selfishness. As the course of evolution is from spirit to matter, there is a preponderance of the spiritual qualities in the golden and their gradual eclipse as evolution descends to the lower point. In the beginning of any cycle, the wise ones, who are our elder brothers, take a direct, active, and leading part in the affairs of the race. As the cycle proceeds on the arc of descent from golden to black, the wise ones gradually withdraw their active presence and become factors for good behind the scenes. Their purpose is to make mankind self-reliant and responsible, even though in the process man experiences pain, suffering, failure, and great sorrow that corresponds with this age of Kali-yuga, the Black Age. The Secret Doctrine, there's a handout that we passed out that's a little more detailed than what I'm going to say on the platform. But what it does is it gives us the background of some of the major civilizations, the oldest civilizations known to history in this world, the Chinese, the Chaldean, etc. And in summary, what it says is it gives you the evidence and says one in all civilizations tell us of 7 divine dynasties who descend from their celestial abode and reign on earth, teaching mankind astronomy, architecture, and all the sciences that have come down to us. According to Plato, in order to obtain clear and precise ideas on royalty, the origin and power, one has to turn back to the first principles of history and tradition. Great changes have occurred in days of old, in heaven and on earth. And the present state of things is one of the results. We are experiencing the karma that have led us to where we are now. Our traditions tell us of many changes that have taken place in the course of the sun, of Saturn's reign, and of 1,000 other matters that remain scattered about in human memory. In the Golden Age, long before man built his cities, where there was naught but happiness on earth, for there were no needs. Why? Because Saturn, knowing that man could not rule man without injustice filling the universe through the whims and vanity of man, would not allow any mortal to obtain power over his fellow creatures. He loved mankind and placed to rule over man no mortal king or prince, but spirits and genii of a divine nature more excellent than that of man. This excerpt explains a lot. It's only about 12 pages of the Secret Doctrine, but there's a few paragraphs here. Explains, among other matters, the divine government above and its shadowy reflection on earth, the origin of the pretension of the divine right of mundane kings, the origin of evil, suffering, and want, and the relationships between man and the other kingdoms. It also points the way to solve all these problems and to accomplish a return to the Golden Age, not just as a recurring cyclic period, but as a perpetual state for a unified humanity. When the masses retired from active participation in the affairs of man, it was in order that humanity might learn to govern itself. Man imitated his divine rulers, and from among their own number they chose kings. But the purely human kings introduced in their reigns those selfish divisions and special privileges which finally crystallized into the hard and fast castes and classes, ever warring upon one another. These rulers, instead of regarding themselves as servants, trustees and guides of the people and themselves up, set themselves up as privileged characters and arrogated to themselves powers and possessions which became the means of oppression of the trusting masses. The so-called lower kingdoms of nature reacted to the selfishness and disharmony that ensued. In place of peace and plenty, there came drought and famine. If, as is taught, the lower kingdoms progress by natural impulse imparted by man, so also is man checked or not by the actions received from these kingdoms. They go to make up and support his vehicles, and his embodied existence here is completely dependent upon a proper and harmonious interchange between man and the kingdoms. On page 373 of The Secret Doctrine, Book 2, it stated that fruits and grain unknown to earth to that day were brought by the Lords of Wisdom for the benefit of those they ruled. With the withdrawal of the Lords of Wisdom, could it be said that man's abuse of nature and his inhumanity resulted in a stoppage or a lessening of the natural production and fertility? Can it also be that man is experiencing karma from the destruction of tons upon tons of foodstuffs and materials of every description in order to keep the prices up, or that the actions man is involved in today poisons the globe, and global warming is ensuing, so with the associated storms we have now. Of course, we've had storms all along, but it seems like they're getting a lot worse lately and more frequent. Psychology, turning the page a little bit, means as a practical sense the conscious cultivation of the various powers acquired. When this is undertaken, we soon learn that no experience stands alone and unrelated. No being exists in isolation. However, the accustomed conduct of the business of life issues from the notion of separateness. This common fact is so universally prevalent that ordinarily it escapes all but incidental or casual notice. God's men and animals, and whatever other beings there may be, all form parts of nature. God, good and evil, happiness and sorrow, birth and death, wisdom and folly have no existence apart from nature, from being and action. The futile attempt to separate them fills the annals of history and evolution. The truth is that no more than the individual can the kingdoms of nature, which he is a unit member, be isolated from the other sovereignties. Each kingdom represents an outlook from a given center, a sphere of action with a given radius. Therefore, to speak of free will or of fate as though either were a finality is to ignore the plainest of life's lessons.